Welcome to today's coffee break, everybody. Nice to have you here. Hope you're all well. Solbu, I see. I see BP9. I see Peter as well. Hey, guys.
Hello. Good morning. How are you?
It's a small, intimate crowd today. Right. While Peter works through that.
Yeah, it was a tad. It was a tad too fast.
We're in day 2 of the kids doing school from home.
Oh, goody!
Isn't that an interesting scenario? Like that. Here we are. Not to bring about. I don't want to talk about COVID-19. Our whole idea is to get away from that. But it is so cool that the technology exists now that work from home is possible. These kind of Zoom meetings and similar kind of meetings are possible. The kids are sitting with their classmates, and the teacher is presenting a class through the internet.
Yeah.
So here they are reopening the schools in 2 weeks.
So the teacher has a video camera just like we do, just like we're doing here with Zoom. And
Exactly right. And then they're using online tools to present the curriculum, and then the kids have to actually log into this website to be able to do their curriculum. So
that does not surprise me.
They have been doing that here for about a month now. And on the news today, the government announced that in 2 weeks, they are for the first 4 years, from classes 1 to 4, they are starting up again.
I'm like Eric. Long time.
Not here. Hey, Bo.
Hey.
All right. Good morning, Bo.
Just yesterday, Bo, we were saying very nice things about you yesterday during our coffee break.
Oh, very good. I hope that you're not being sarcastic.
Yeah.
There's only good
Robbie
things to
would
say.
never be sarcastic. He would never do that.
Never. Hey, Bo, the conversation kind of went the way of our virtual assistants yesterday, because I found like some of the speech to text is really evolving and getting smart, and the thought came to mind as some of the guys that were a part of our coffee break yesterday were concerned about the privacy behind things like Amazon Echo and Google Home, and then what came to mind was Mycroft.
Right, yeah. Well, first of all, they should be concerned about privacy because there's huge privacy concerns. But then again, there's also, our phones are our main privacy leak. But when you allow a digital assistant into your home along with your phone, then that's just that much more.
So Amazon Echo knows when I get up and when I go to bed, and when I ask what the weather forecast is and what music I like.
And also, whenever you say anything within earshot of it.
If I use the keyword.
No, it's actually always recording.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I can go back over my recordings. Seriously, I have. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you? Sorry, my phone was ringing.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering what that was.
Okay, yeah. I did.
So,
sorry.
Can you tell us about Mycroft? I'd be interested in knowing more about it. It's not something I've experienced.
Yeah, well, Mycroft was born in 2016 in Kansas City at a makerspace, from what I understand. I've had some personal dealings with the company. They've contacted us to do some cooperative work last year, but we haven't heard from them for a little while. So I just checked their website to see if anything had changed, and it still said that they were planning to go into mass production late 2019 or early 2020. Well, it's a little bit past early 2020, and we still haven't seen anything. So, and they haven't updated their website either. But they do some corporate consulting as well for AI. So that, and they've received like I don't know, over $2 million in investor funding. I don't know, it's probably more than that now, but Mycroft itself is an open source project, so any Linux computer can run it, including a single board computer.
So
So
my
you don't have to
question,
wait. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bo. My question would be the various digital assistants, like, I won't say them because I don't want to trigger the action words, but are they does Mycroft work the same way that that it has to talk to a server before it can understand your request? Does it have to
No.
send your voice? Oh, it's all done locally?
No, it's all done locally, yeah.
Wow.
It'll go out to the internet to get information, but it won't process your requests over the internet.
Actually, I'm not surprised because I'm sorry, I have a cat in my lap, but I'm not surprised because I have a Synology box, and I went ahead and enabled a program on there called Moments. You just dump your photos into the Moments folder, and it will categorize them. It will figure out where the faces are. It will figure out what the subject of a photo is without going to a central service to do it. It does it all locally. Now, it will take some time. Now, it's not instantaneous by any means, and it gets stuff wrong sometimes. Google Photos, it's not, but it's pretty darn good, and it certainly picks faces of people that I've got in my photos that I've been converting from 35mm film to digital, and I've been just dumping them into these the Moments folder in the Synology box, and it just categorizes them. It just figures it out, and it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It was absolutely worth the spending the dollars on the Synology box, because
cool.
When you convert that to the manual time it would have taken for me to try and categorize them manually, there's no way I could have done it for that kind of time, or
Right.
So,
yeah. Well, that's another thing about Mycroft is that it has a programmable keyword or wake word. And
okay.
So you're not going to start anybody's Mycroft on accident.
I was more concerned about starting other people's digital assistants.
Right.
The
So
big name ones.
Right. Unlike Amazon, you're not going to be able to trigger other people's Mycrofts by talking about it. Unless, of course, they use a simple word like Mycroft, I guess.
Yeah.
I thought Mycroft was for sure that's clever, but don't worry. I was going to show Robbie this. This is something I wrote a while back, Robbie. It's for people to read, blind people to read lists and things. You basically use a computer and you copy and paste into the clipboard, and it will speak it in real time.
Yeah, that's cool. Copy and paste clipboard to do text to speech. So back to Mycroft, Bo. Does Mycroft, like, can you talk to it like you can with Amazon Echo, for example?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's fully voice enabled. So the latest version that they were working on, that Mycroft AI was working on, it has a screen. I think it was like a 3.5 inch or a 5 inch screen, something like that. Built-in speakers, stereo speakers with a pretty good sound quality, and it's still about the size of a cup.
Do you got to set up a server? Like, what's immediately coming to mind is we were thinking about what can we do with a PinePhone.
Oh yeah, right. Well, the Mycroft itself is a server, and they were considering using the Pine H64B, which is a Raspberry Pi sized board.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still the plan or not, but that's the last thing we were discussing. The Pine H64B is a pretty powerful board at a pretty good price. So, I don't know what's the status right now. Like I said, it doesn't seem like, but maybe they put it on the back burner or something. I don't know.
Sure, yeah.
they might have some bigger projects or bigger fish to fry.
Have you tried it? Is it usable in its current state?
Yeah, I installed it on Odroid C2 a while back, and I actually haven't implemented it in my house, but
Oh yeah.
I think my wife would like that if I did. But privacy, I'm a little paranoid when it comes to privacy. I think with to not talk too much about the current situation, but we can see how easy it is, and I'm not going to say whether it's legitimate or not, but we can see how easy it is for the government to change our lifestyle based off of information. So that I've heard that governments are actually tracking people's social distancing practices via their smartphones and other data that they're not agreeing to share explicitly, but places like Google and Amazon have access to.
Yeah.
That's anonymous, though, right? I mean,
No, it's not.
I would not
No.
Yeah,
count on that.
that depends because if you are only tracking that a certain device is moving around, then you don't know who is owning that device. But over a week or over a month, if the device at 8 o'clock in the morning travels from a certain point to another certain point, and then it's there for 7 or 8 hours, and then it travels back, and then you can figure out who it is and where they are working. So anonymous data is, for those who know what they're doing, it's very easy to pinpoint who that is.
I made that argument about facial recognition in malls where they're like, oh, but we don't have any data about the people. But I can tell if, Robbie, the guy in the blue shirt, if I see the blue shirt way down there, I still know that's Robbie, even though the AI doesn't tell me that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but your phone, if it's an Android, let's say, an Android phone, it's logged into your Google account. And Google knows your location, so they can pinpoint exactly who it is.
Only if the GPS is running in the phone.
Not necessarily. They also can do it by Wi-Fi, triangulation, and other methods as well.
But that's nowhere near as accurate, though, as GPS.
Right. It's not as accurate as
for the purposes of social distancing, it's hard to. For the purposes of social distancing, it's hard to check to see if people are complying when you don't have GPS enabled.
Yeah, but you can't even trust the GPS data on phones because they have tolerance of about 2 or 3 meters. So if two people are passing each other 3 meters apart, it can show up on the map as if they shook hands before they moved on.
Yeah, but I don't have the GPS on my phone enabled routinely.
Yeah, but you can't turn it off completely, even though you have it location services disabled.
Right.
It doesn't mean that the GPS is not working. I've read a number of different articles about it, but
is that where the PinePhone is going to be different because of the physical toggle switches?
Yes, with the PinePhone, you can actually toggle things off physically. It's not exactly easy to do because you have to take off the back cover. Let's say that you don't want. Well, first of all, from the baseline, you're going to be more private off of on a PinePhone because it's not going to have. It's going to be ungoogled from the beginning. Non-Google. It's going to be non-Amazon and non-Apple. It's not going to have any of those services running on it, of course. You may be able to add those services onto it, but it won't have those enabled by default. So unless you load some program that starts reporting on your location or something like that, then you're not going to have to worry about it.
What about if you put a Faraday cage over the aerial that'll stop the RF being picked up?
It would also stop your phone from working because you won't be able to make or receive phone calls.
I didn't realise that yet. But it's just
Well, you can tune your Faraday cage for different frequencies.
Yeah, that reminds me of a
Okay.
movie, Enemy of the State from '97, where they have I don't remember where this character who is working off the grid, and they in an old building they built a cage full of steel bars, and they were surprised that it actually worked, and they made a comment in the comment section on the DVD that this was the first time in the history of using wireless microphones to make movies that they couldn't use any kind of wireless devices inside of the cage, so they had to put wires inside.
Yeah.
And they made about this exact same thing. So
my parents next door has got a like a double shield on their building because a friend of ours is a builder, Mervyn, and it stops RF coming from there because I had a transmitter and I used to get the TV. So Mervyn put a metal like a metal shield inside the brickwork all the way round. And like a Faraday could say, it works too bloody well because we can't get Wi-Fi into the building anymore.
Yeah, that'd drive me nuts. It's like I want good signal.
Yeah.
yeah,
I've never heard of a Faraday cage being tuned. I didn't think that was possible. I thought a Faraday cage blocked all RF.
Well, better on the holes are big the holes, the size of the holes are way length for you.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you can adjust the mesh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've never tried that.
I haven't tried it either.
They will wait length you on.
So
but,
they actually
even if one have a phone that you cannot turn off location services or GPS, if you really want to go somewhere and you don't want anyone to know that you're going, leave the
Don't
phone
take
behind.
your phone. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, what I was going to mention was that if you decide to pursue a path of privacy, digital privacy and security, it's an uphill battle because our starting point is a point of non-security and non-privacy.
Yeah.
And so you have to fight every step of the way to get away from that into a place of privacy and security. So let's say you're using a VPN, right, to do some browsing on your Android phone. And let's say you want to look up something about government conspiracies or something else that might be a trigger for some government agency. I don't know. So you log into your VPN and then you start browsing. Well, that's fine as far as the sites that you're going to is concerned, but if you're using Chrome or if you are logged into your Google services while you're doing it, that information can be reported back.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
even then, you have to trust the VPN provider.
Right, and then you have to also trust the VPN provider. And then you can use something like Tor to go browsing. But then you also have to make sure you're in privacy mode and that you aren't logged into any sites on Tor.
Yeah.
So you have to basically be like completely anonymous while you're doing it.
So you bring up Tor, and the story comes to mind. I had a friend ask me. He's just out of curiosity. How do I get on the dark web? And I said, and he's at work, and I said, whatever you do not search for that in Google. He works at a company that manufactures fertilizer. I said, like,
Over here will be over here.
Just imagine, eh?
Sorry, but over here the government's always listening because of terrorism, and everybody there's everywhere. Where I live now, there's everybody listening because of terrorism. Still,
Yeah.
you have to be careful what you say, on phone things,
Yeah, today terrorism is the big boogie word.
Oh boy, leave it to Solbu to make it dark around here.
Yeah, thanks, Solbu. Good job.
And just
Well done. Yeah.
commenting on Peter Lewis, he brought it up.
Well, I think that it's there's definitely, I can understand from a government perspective,
Yeah,
and I'm surely glad that they catch, you know, closet terrorists before they actually have a chance to act, right? And part of that is because privacy is so hard to obtain on the digital web.
So,
and if someone has to listen to start listening, it's better for a peaceful government to do it than really bad actors who can do.
I think all we've learned from Solbu today is when you're going to do your terrorism, leave your phone at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, Bo, I have a question for you about the PinePhone.
Okay.
When you showed it to us last time, I was trying to figure out, and I don't know if you can help me answer this. I was trying to figure out if the phone application that runs on the PinePhone has any way. Is there any way for it to connect to something like a CardDAV server? Do you know? Or is there any way to keep a list of contact names like you would with the Android phone contacts function?
Okay. So this is a tricky question because the PinePhone is only hardware. And there are a number of software OSs, and each one of those software OSs that run on the PinePhone can have multiple variants with multiple applications. So if you don't like the phone app that's on your Ubuntu Touch, let's say, you could probably replace it. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I haven't checked to see. You probably write your own. Even
I think you mentioned that there was that all of the distros that you're aware of, anyway, likely used the same phone application, the Ophono, I think it was.
Ophono.
Ophono. Yeah, I could not find Ophono. I could only find Ophone.
Let me see. I think it's Ophono.
That might be why I misspelled it. Okay, I'll look for it.
Yeah, it's Ophono.
Okay, that's why I completely misspelled it. I spelled it Ophono.
Yeah.
So that won't work.
But I'm not positive on that, so don't quote me on that. But I have seen some chatter about Ophono on the news group or on the chat groups. So I don't know if that's the lower level thing or if that's the actual app. I think it might be the lower and lower level stuff. So there's probably a GUI built on top of it.
I'm thinking that probably the way to go would be some kind of an intermediate service that whoever builds the phone app, whether it be Ophono or another app, can call this to get the contact data that they need.
And just so you have your own contact server?
What's that?
This would be so you have your own contact server, so you're in control of your cloud, basically?
Well, I do now. I do. Yeah. I've been doing that since forever, right?
Existing. Yeah, all right.
You could sync to any CardDAV service. I mean, you could sync to your Google CardDAV service if you wanted to,
right?
If you were crazy. But I don't care. I mean, I keep it's my data. I keep my data on my machines in my network. Yeah. That's why I have my own CardDAV and my own CalDAV service. But I could just as easily sync to to someone else's CardDAV or CalDAV service if I wanted to. I don't want to, but I could. My point is, though, that it doesn't make sense for all the different phone applications to implement all that funky vCard syntax, parsing and parsing PARSE, where it tries to decode what the vCard looks like in order to mine the information out of it and building it back up. Seems to me it would make sense to centralize that into one place.
Let the backing.
Yes, sir.
Immediately, I'm thinking about how I could do this with PHP. You do realize that?
I know. Sure. I challenge you. You go ahead and build something like that with PHP. I'll build it
Yeah.
and see, and we'll see. We'll
To
see
see
what
which
it
one
looks
runs
like.
faster.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we will have a contest.
Or which one works. More importantly,
Oh yes, yeah.
it has to work, right?
You're going to have PHP cron jobs in no time.
Well, you can anyway. I mean, if you can run it PHP at a command line, you've indicated you can. You can run it under cron, so that's no problem.
Oh yeah.
But I'm thinking of a service that just periodically goes out and refreshes its backing store, and then just makes it available. But
it makes sense to me that would be separate from the Ophono, because it would be something that I would want to be able to put across any of those distros.
And when you look at it with a regular phone, it's not separate. The actual phone application has all that embedded in it, so it's got its own. It's got its own implementation of reading, writing, updating V cards. So it's just a thought that I had, but I don't know if there's anything like that out there, and that's what I wanted to ask you, Bo, if you knew of anything
regarding
like
that. BP9.
Yes, sir.
So one of the applications I think the PinePhone is going to be stellar at is companies who want to who normally would provide their employees with a phone anyway, but they can provide them with a phone that's customized for that company's needs. So, it could be like synced with the company's CalDev server and contact server, and they could see where their employees are. It could do automatic, logging of their time based on location. So if they're at a client location, then it's automatically billing the client, and if they're traveling, they're automatically getting reimbursed for mileage. And if they're at the shop, then anybody can see that they're at the main office or whatever.
Yeah. It didn't occur to me, but that's very true. You can absolutely customize it to the nth degree.
That sounds
right. And the company can have all of their own applications on there, so that the employee can look up service agreements or contracts or generate invoices for a client on spot or whatever.
You know what's coming next. They're going to want to run Windows on it. You know it. You know it's going to happen, right?
So it's our responsibility as the IT department to say no.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right.
They've already run Windows apps on the PinePhone.
Oh no! Like under wine or something?
Yeah, under Linux. Yeah.
Usually it's only Solbu who brings the negativity.
Yeah, I know. Talking about bringing it down.
I tell you what only happened a few years ago, about 1995, 85. Certain ships you couldn't get over this part of the water. They were tone decoders. They were using for terrorism operations to blow their bombs up, and you couldn't get them for life or money. The only way I was getting them is through my cousin, who sent them in a parcel to me in Derbyshire, that's where I live, and I was using them, but I wasn't using them for that reason. I was using them for the RTTY, but you couldn't get the chips anywhere. Because of they put a ban on it in Northern Ireland. Because they were called.
Wow! And on that note, folks, you believe a half hour has already gone by.
Yeah,
that's all the time that we have for today's coffee break. Tomorrow we're gonna have another coffee break at about the same time. We will have no speak of exploding parcels or terrorism. It'll just be nice and relaxed. Yeah. It's been fun, though, guys. Nice to see you. Take care. See you tomorrow.
Nice to see you too.
Bye.
Bye.